friends, in today's video I wanted to share my top 5 tips for overcoming creative block. So I actually was going to leave this video for the end of the month. This video is going to be a part of my series that I'm doing on my Instagram and Facebook, and I'm actually reposting those posts on YouTube here if you haven't seen them. So this whole month of February, every day I make a post about something that's decoupage / decorating related. So at the moment we're going through the topic of molds. So I was actually going to leave this topic until the end of the month, but I thought, you know what the hell, it is something that is quite relevant to myself right now, because these past few weeks I've been finding it quite hard to create. I've been feeling really tired, so that's been affecting me. So I'm trying to kind of get myself out of that sort of burnout stage. So I thought I'll share some of my tips of what I found helpful previously, and so I hope that this might help some of you if you are feeling a little bit stuck, whether you are in the middle of a project and you just don't know where to go with it, or if you don't have a project going on right now and you just don't know where to start, you're not feeling it at the moment. I just hope that I can share some of these tips with you and maybe they will help you. Just a little side note, if you notice the light changing in this video, it's because we have some really crazy weather at the moment. Literally the sun keeps coming in and out and I am using sort of the natural light in the room. So that's what it is, so please ignore that. But yeah, grab a cup of tea or a snack or anything. There'll be no creating today, so it's just going to be me chatting. And yeah, let's get into it. So the first thing that I would normally start with, if I'm feeling a bit stuck, and that's what I would suggest that you would start with, is have a very honest conversation with yourself. Figure out what it is that is stopping you from creating. And I know it sounds like a very big ask right now, but hear me out. So truly, most of us will know what it is that's stopping us from creating in this moment in time. Either we just don't want to really admit it to ourselves, or we just haven't thought through it. We just have that emotion sitting inside, but we haven't actually sat down and thought about it and actually had a conversation with ourselves to find out what it is that is making us feel like we do right now. It does get easier with practice, but again, what I've found most of the time is that if I'm not feeling very creative, if I don't want to sit down and make something, there will be an underlying reason as to why I don't want to do it. Whether it be I'm in the middle of a project and I just don't know where to go with it, I've lost the vision for it, or at the stage now where I don't like the task that I have to do right now. So for example, sanding can be that. For me, if I'm making a jewelry box and I have to line the inside, that can be something that I'm gonna procrastinate and I'm not gonna do it until I absolutely have to. Or whether it be that you're just not excited about any of the projects that you have had lined up or that you thought you wanted to do, you just don't feel that excitement. Are you just really tired at the moment? That can also be a very big factor, and it is okay to admit that to yourself. It is okay to be tired. I know for me right now personally, I have been really tired. Again, I have a 2.5-year-old who's got his back molars coming through right now, so I'm having to be very involved during the day when my little one's awake, and he's also been waking up at night because they make him feel uncomfortable. So and I know that whenever I have to wake up at night and tend to my little boy, the next day after that I will be a little bit, and if it keeps happening over and over again, gradually it just kind of builds up, and I don't feel like creating. Is there something that is going on in your life? So maybe you've had some stressful time at work, maybe you are having a stressful time at home, maybe you need to change things up a little bit. You will know what it is that is deep down, what is making you feel the way that you are. Something is making you feel not creative, and you need to try and get as close to pinpointing what it is to be able to get out of this feeling of just being stuck and not wanting to create. So as it is with most people, that have addictions or just bad habits or something like that, the first step is always admitting the problem. So that is the biggest, the hardest step that anybody has to take. And when you are stuck creatively, it can also be one of the hardest things to admit to yourself. So number 2, if you are feeling kind of stuck with a project, so for example, if you have lost inspiration, you've lost the vision of where you want to go with a project, whether it be sewing or quilting or card making or decoupage, like in my case, upcycling, anything like that. I get that. Again, all of these things, I'm speaking from my own experience. I've been there with literally every single example that I'm providing is something that I have been through. So whether you have lost inspiration, you just don't feel like working on that project right now, one thing that really helps me personally is to set my project aside somewhere where I can see it in my peripherals as I'm walking past and focusing on other things. So that is an actual kind of practical thing of what you can try and implement to get your creativity back. So again, it might not work for everybody. Like if you normally craft in your craft room and it's a big project, you know, like a piece of furniture that you're repainting, you might not be able to move it into your living room where you can see it all the time, but there might be ways around it as well. I don't know, maybe take a picture on your phone, and then when you're on your phone, just kind of keep opening it, look at it for a little bit, then put it back. It's something that helps me personally a lot. So if I'm feeling a little bit stuck, I don't know where I want to go with this project, I don't know what other colors I want to add, I don't know what paper I'm going to use, or anything like that, what I will do is, for example, if I'm working on a box or a plaque or anything like that, I'm just gonna sit it on my desk or somewhere where I can see it when I'm not in my creative space. So for me personally, I only really get to sit down and create and do stuff when my little one is either napping or he's gone to bed, or in the morning before he wakes up. So I'll put it somewhere where while I'm looking after my little one, I can see it in my peripherals as I'm walking past. And that is also one of those things where I find it's a lot better if I can just kind of see out the corner of my eye, rather it just sitting there and staring at me, because then it's a bit more intimidating. But if I can just sit it somewhere where I can kind of catch a glimpse of it every time I walk past, I do find that sometimes, because it's your peripherals that are working and you see other things in the background and everything's kind of blurry, sometimes it can just kind of bring the idea of maybe certain colors that you would like to use, or just kind of trigger your brain cells to bring something in and get that spark flowing. So that's something that I find helps me if I'm feeling stuck with a project when I don't know where I want to take it. So tip number 3, get inspired by watching others create or look at their finished work on Instagram or on Facebook. So for me personally, it's the first one that works better. So for me, watching other people create can kind of get me feeling like, oh, I can, she's grabbing that brush, I want to grab my brush, rather than going on Instagram, Pinterest or Facebook. So sometimes if I'm feeling a little bit down about myself, I don't feel very creative, I find that looking at finished work that other people have done can actually have the opposite effect for me, where I look at what they've made and I look at how beautiful it is and I feel like, oh my god, I'll never make something that's this beautiful, and wow, it just makes me feel even worse about myself. It just kind of brings myself down. I know for a lot of people, looking at other people's work, it kind of gets them inspired. It makes them feel like, oh my god, wow, this is amazing, I can do this, I'll try and make something that looks just like that. But for me, often it has the opposite effect. So I find that just watching other people on YouTube or watching a crafting program, something where you can watch other people create, being in the process of actually making stuff. Like all of last year, for the most part, I would watch these Russian decoupage ladies I don't know what to call them, decoupages, is that a word? Anyway, so I would watch them. They usually live stream like twice a day. So I would put on their live stream and I watch it, and as I'm looking at what they are doing, I just feel like, oh my god, I need to do this. And you know, I start to feel like this creativity build up, this fire starting to burn inside, where I just, you know, after like 10 minutes of this, I'm like, no, I'm gonna go and grab my stuff and I'm gonna sit here and create too. I can do this too, you know. So that's something that really does help me a lot whenever I'm feeling like not inspired, not creative. I don't want to touch my tools, I don't want to touch my brushes. It's one of the things that I tend to go to. So at number 4 we have promise yourself a reward. So again, if you know that you need to finish a project or get a project done but you don't feel like doing it, or you're stuck in the middle of a project and you don't feel like carrying on with it, something that helps me sometimes is if I promise myself something in return for actually doing this work. It doesn't have to be big necessarily, you don't have to go out and buy stuff. It can just be an extra biscuit or an extra cup of coffee or something like that, that can just get me thinking, yes, you know, if I do this, I'm gonna get something in return, so maybe I should just crack on and get this done. And of course, I do find that the bigger the task, the bigger the reward needs to be for me to for it to actually work. So if it's something little like sanding that I don't want to do, then maybe I can get away with just promising myself a cup of coffee. But if it's something bigger, like I need to, like for example, like doing the inside lining of a jewellery box, that might call for an evening off or a movie night or something like that, or just spending an evening playing a game instead rather than crafting. So that is something that that I find helps me a lot quite often. And the last tip, number 5, is take a break. Sometimes you just need to take a break. It's okay to not be creative all the time. Sometimes you just need to take an evening, 2 evenings, maybe even a week or 2 to just step back, sit down, do something else, watch some crap TV or watch a movie or play a game, whatever else that you enjoy doing. Sometimes you just need to switch the activity to get that creative flow again. It's truly not realistic to expect ourselves to be creative all of the time, every day, you know, especially if you're somebody like me. For me, I am a stay-at-home mum, but then any spare chance that I get, I'm here creating, crafting, doing stuff. Even when my little one isn't napping, that's when I'll sometimes, you know, sneak away and do a post on Instagram or take some pictures or do something like that. So for me, it's like I'm juggling these 2 jobs. I'm a full-time mum and I'm also trying to be a full-time crafter. So it's a lot to take on. It's a lot to expect our brains to process all the time, our bodies. Sometimes we just need to take a break. It's okay to not be creative 100% of the time. After you've taken that break, you will eventually start missing crafting. If you're a real crafter, if you're a real DIYer, then you won't be able to go without it for a truly long period of time. Eventually it will come back. And so sometimes you just need to let yourself take that step back, breathe, give yourself space and time. You wouldn't expect other people to create all the time. Like if you look at musicians, for example, they will release an album and then they usually will take a break, or maybe they're having a very good streak where they will release you know, 1 album, then the 2nd album pretty much straight after, then the 3rd album, but then usually there will always come a point where they have to take a break to recharge. It's impossible to always have something to put out. Sometimes you need to refill your pitcher. Sometimes you just need to take that little break. And just as a little bonus tip, when you do start to feel that fire kind of raising inside of you, when you start feeling that creativity kind of lifting up again, make sure that you actually have something to work on. This might be a time, if you don't have anything at home to actually get yourself out there and find something that you can work on. So for me, for example, if I don't have anything to work on, this would be a time to get yourself to a charity shop and get something that I can actually put that creativity out onto. When you start feeling like that spark is coming, make sure that your kindling is ready, that you can actually start that fire, and it's not just gonna, you know, you get a spark and then it's because you don't have anything to work on. So yeah, anyways, that is all I wanted to say today. I do have a lot more of these. If you wanted to see a part 2, make sure to give this video a thumbs up. Let me know in the comments if you would like to see more of these kind of tips from me as to like how to stay in that creative flow, because I do have a lot more. I was writing them down yesterday and I came up with quite a few more, but I don't want this video to be like too long. It's already going to be long enough. Yeah, let me know what you think to these kind of chatty videos. Also, what do you think to my new glasses? I got some new glasses and unfortunately, sadly, my vision is going down apparently. They are a bit thicker, so I'm not sure about these glasses. I really liked them when I tried them on without my thick lenses, but when they actually came in, I don't know. Depending on an angle that I'm looking at myself, I feel like I'm one of them like scientists from the 70s with like really thick lenses. Let me know, I need opinions because I'm really not sure about them. My partner keeps telling me that they don't look as bad as you think, but I'm not sure. Anyways, if you enjoyed this video, thumbs up for part 2 as well. Subscribe if you would like to see more of these videos. If you would like to connect with me on any of the other social medias, I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook. Then there's going to be links in the description. There's a link for my Etsy shop as well if you would like to check it out, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!